if you have been keeping track of those good candidates, providers, front desk, whoever, reach back out to them, because you never know what changes in their what season of life they're in, right? And it might be a good fit now.
Well, and I think that kind of wrapping your marketing head around that is, if you want to take that that's a great tip, and if you want to take that tip and actually put it into action, make sure that everything else is buttoned up first.
Sure.
So don't say, like, if you're interested now, maybe your season of life has changed or whatever, but then you go to the website and you see all these negatives about working at the practice or something like that. Make sure that your house is buttoned up.
Yeah, your Glassdoor profile is
accurate and everything else. Yeah, or start paying attention to it. Hey there, welcome to the Dr. Marketing Tips Show. I am Jennifer.
And I'm Corey.
And today we're going to talk about 5 things that we're doing to support HR here at our agency.
Yeah, so we talk a lot about how marketing and HR kind of work together.
Very closely.
Very closely, especially now. It seems like more than ever before, we are intrinsically kind of tied together.
In fact, our offices, the room we're in, right next door is the HR team for a large practice.
Yeah, literally I could put my hand at that door and probably touch someone from HR, which they probably wouldn't appreciate because they're in HR.
No. So we're working with HR.
Anyway, we're back to back with HR.
Need a knee.
Yeah, need a knee. So there's a handful of things that we've been doing to support a lot of the practices that we work with. So I wanted to share some of those things with you. The first one I wanted to talk about is, so one practice that we work with, they have a struggle with recruiting a mid-level provider. So they don't want someone that's fresh out of school, but they don't want someone who's ready to retire, basically. But they want someone with a decent amount of experience.
Someone that's worth investing their time and money into.
Correct. And so what they've struggled with is they're a larger group, and so their target is an independent provider who does not want to be independent anymore, but doesn't really know what to do. So our suggestion was to come up with a lead magnet, which is essentially a resource that you provide in exchange for some type of information. Usually it's an email. So what we did was we came up with this guide that was essentially like 10 things to know if you're considering ditching private practice. So the idea being that if this provider who is sick and tired of doing the billing and dealing with
like a solo practitioner, exactly. He's tired of that.
Correct. And they're ready to switch, and they just want to see patients and not deal with the rest of the BS. So this guide is sort of like a way to check the temperature and say, like, you know what, maybe I am ready to just say, I don't want this headache anymore. And so it's really like a soft sell for this practice, because we're not really pushing, we're saying, hey, come here, join us. But we are saying, hey, come here, join us in a way. So we're providing this education. We are being the authority. And so when that practitioner says, I am sick of this, they'll think of this practice and the resource that they provided. When they sign up for this, so they give us their email, we give them this ebook. They also get an email sequence that's tied to that. That's just, again, gentle reminders of things that are in the book. And hey, if you ever need us, you ever want anything, we're here, sort of message.
That's a great way to build a database.
Correct.
Nurture the database, and you could do it it doesn't have to be just for providers. It could be the same type of thing using a lead magnet for many different levels that you might want to do. I know that we had talked to a practice at one point about building a database as it relates to those applicants, and then marketing to that database. And maybe it's like what it's like to work here, what it's like here's the current job openings, or here's 5 things that you need to do to be prepared for this role if that's the job that you want, but you haven't gotten that job yet, things of that nature. So I think kind of back to you're saying let's do a lead magnet. Well, let's approach it just like we would marketing and start building that database that we can nurture, because that's very top of funnel stuff.
Yeah, and I like the idea of what you just said about actually doing that to the team that you already have too, because that promotes retention, because you start to get those emails and you see, oh, there's a path here. There's growth for me.
There's an opportunity, and that's what we're hearing a lot of times is people are jumping ship because they don't see that there's an opportunity for growth.
So you message that almost right away.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what's the second thing we're doing?
Second thing is actually just taking a look at how they are literally nuts and bolts approaching their hiring. So different practice that we work with, same struggle. They're just struggling to recruit providers. So one of the questions that I asked them was, well, let's take a look at your job description. When was the last time that it was updated outside of whatever the new benefits are? And the person that I was speaking to had been there 10 years, and she said that she has not updated them.
She probably inherited them.
Correct, yeah. And she didn't know where, like, even before that, where they came from. So let's call it at least 10 years. So we went in and rewrote the job descriptions. And so instead of saying, this is who we are, it now says, this is who you are. And it's very focused on the applicant. And so basically saying, when you're here, this is what you'll do. This is the qualifications that you'll have. This is what you need. And this is kind of like what makes us a good fit, versus telling them, this is who we are, and seeing if you fit in our box, kind of thing.
So I've been doing a lot of speaking on the circuit this spring. In fact, I'm leaving tomorrow to go speak to another conference of medical group managers in Texas. And the talk that we're doing this year is all about attracting and retaining top talent, but using marketing as one-legged stool. And with that said, one of the examples in the presentation is this book that I just read called Right Fit, Wrong Fit. And it's talking about when you're looking at culture and building culture within your organization, there's a lot of talk and fluff around culture, but the reality is culture actually translates into what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. Because what you're doing on a day-to-day basis is going to dictate whether or not it's the right fit or the wrong fit. And the way that gets translated is, if it's the right fit, is it the right fit for you, Corey, who has a small child at home, who wants to be able to leave at 4:30 to go pick her up from daycare to get home? It's actually what we say culture is, and then how it translates into your day-to-day. And so take that as you will, as it relates to building these job descriptions, because you got to make it in their voice and not your voice.
Exactly.
Like you just said, it's not about you, it's about
them.
how that culture is going to be a right fit when they're in that job.
Yeah, exactly. It's about them. Yeah, they're joining you, and yeah.
That's exactly the case.
So we rewrote the job descriptions. We have, since we've done that, we've seen the funnel sort of increase at the top. So more applications coming in, which is the goal. So what we're trying to do there is, we know we get a certain amount of leads in, they're going to fall off as they go through the hiring process, but by the end, we have more leads at the start, we'll have more hires at the end.
That's it. And you're tracking all that, so you know that you're moving the needle.
Correct.
That's great.
Yep. So we've got the job descriptions, and then those are backed up by ads, and then a landing page specifically. Again, that reiterates that same message, but just has a little bit more real estate to do so. We talk a lot about culture there, because that's something that particular organization has struggled with in the past. So part of it is just education, that they are different than they used to be. Next thing, so this is number 3, is email sequences. So the client that we work with, they go to conferences. When they're at conferences, usually there's a couple of different goals going on. One of the goals is to recruit. What they would do in the past is they'd go to this conference, they have a little placard on the table and says, scan here, you can win a Stanley mug or whatever the flavor of the week is. And then they took those leads and they put them somewhere. Yep. And then nobody ever did anything with them. So one of the things that we did for them was institute basically a automation. So take the leads, put them into either a CRM or just really any email program. And then it fires out an email that says, hey, thanks for talking to us at X conference. If you want to learn more, go here. If you want to talk to somebody, click here, book a time, and hope to talk to you soon. And then in a couple of days, you get another one, and then in a couple of weeks, you get another one, and then you just have a constant line of communication, and you don't have to lift a finger or do any extra work.
That's great, and that applies to not just HR, that applies to everything that you're out there doing.
Yep.
Number 4.
Number 4. So organization that we work with has a exhaustive list of previous candidates. So what we did was we went in and we said, okay, so there's candidates obviously you didn't hire for a reason. Let's take those out. Maybe there's candidates you wanted to hire and they just went in a different direction. And this list is, we actually stopped it at 2 years, because after that, it's probably too many different variables and factors going on. But let's look at the past 2 years, people you wanted to hire but didn't hire, and let's reach out to them and just say, we're still hiring, we're still growing. If you're interested, so are we. And that actually just launched on Friday, and the initial feedback that I've heard is that has been fantastic.
That's great.
And what the recruiter has been overwhelmed with responses from that email. So I think the tip there is, if you have been keeping track of those good candidates, providers, front desk, whoever, reach back out to them, because you never know what changes in their what season of life they're in, right? And it might be a good fit now.
Well, and I think that kind of wrapping your marketing head around that is, if you want to take that that's a great tip, and if you want to take that tip and actually put it into action, make sure that everything else is buttoned up first.
Sure.
So don't say, like, if you're interested now, maybe your season of life has changed or whatever, but then you go to the website and you see all these negatives about working at the practice or something like that. Make sure that your house is buttoned up.
Yeah, your
Really for
Glassdoor
all this,
profile is
accurate and everything else. Yeah,
Sure.
or start paying attention to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was we want to make it super easy for the current team to make a referral. So we created a referral toolkit, and on that toolkit
For employees?
For employees.
That's great.
Right. So on that so basically it's a landing page just for the internal team on the website, or actually it's on their intranet, and it says, hey, if you want to refer somebody, one, will give you a bonus for doing that, because good talent attracts other good talent. But in addition to that, we're going to make it super easy for you. So we have social posts already written, so you can copy and paste those, and graphics for all of the various social networks. So you can hop in there and you can say, maybe LinkedIn is your flavor of choice. Maybe it's Instagram. So you can download the Instagram. You can copy the post and says, it's great to work here. Here are the reasons why. Paste that. And then there's a tracking link, so we know that it came from this referral landing page. That's where that lead originated from. There's also some emails on there. So if you have a network, let's say you're that mid-level provider we were talking about earlier, and you send that out to your network of fellow mid-level providers and peers, email, tracking link, same deal, super easy, copy, paste, hire, bonus.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
And I think we should use that for lots of practices. All right, so that's 5. I have 2 bonus.
Let's do it.
And of course, because when we're talking, I come up with new ideas. So one is, I've got a practice that I work with that was trying to hire a new provider. Not so much that they were trying to hire the new provider immediately, but they knew they needed more providers, and so they were getting things ready. So they think that a real benefit of working at this practice is, they've got X amount of days on, X amount of days off per week. It's a little bit more than normal because they're on call because they deliver babies, and their community is a great place to live. So they said, we want to create a video about the benefits of working here as a provider. And we just went and grabbed a whole bunch of stock footage, 1, about the community, and 2, we grabbed some B-roll that we already had, took a voiceover script that they had, put together a video, and now we built a landing page for the position that highlights all the benefits of working there, put the video on there, and then the doctor likes to take the video and share it on all the social channels whenever she sees that they're hiring, like somebody's looking for a job or coming out of fellowship or something like that.
Yeah.
Easy breezy.
Makes it super easy, yeah. And I like that because you're selling not only the practice, but you're selling the region and the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And people jump on board with that. And it didn't cost them any money because it was stock footage and it was stuff we already had. And then the other thing that we're doing, in fact, our office door is closed because they're prepping for it outside, but there's going to be an employee appreciation day tomorrow. And they're prepping, like making sure the food's ready, and they've got gifts for the employees. And that's what HR is doing. But marketing is going to come behind and get the photos and the videos, and we're going to have the opening of the boxes of the gifts and things that are going on, and they're going to be dressed up, and we're going to use that in our marketing, not just on the intranet, which we do. We're going to use it to put it out there to kind of reinforce the trust and the authenticity and the culture building that is at this practice on their flavor of choice, which is Instagram and LinkedIn. And we're going to use it to reinforce about how great it is to work here.
Yeah, that's such a fantastic tip.
So real
because,
right now.
Yeah, and I didn't know that was tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. We won't be here.
Yeah, but that's such a great tip because a lot of people, if they do they talk about employee appreciation, and maybe there's a day where they do something, but it does make sense to carve out the time, spend the extra effort to do this, because that, with marketing support, has legs for months.
That's it.
Versus just handing something out.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
or
and
sending out an email or a memo.
There you go, and it comes full circle. Because, like these talks that I'm doing, this spring, marketing, HR, and ops are the three legs of the three-legged stool. And if you take one leg away, it doesn't, the stool won't hold itself up. So never before have marketing and HR worked so closely together, because, it's just like marketing to patients, except now we're marketing to build culture, recruit, and attract and retain our top employees.
Yeah, absolutely. And anything you can do to make it easier to do those things, then you'll see the benefits across all three legs of the stool.
That's right. So with that, I'm Jennifer.
I'm Corey.
And we'll see you next time on the Dr. Marketing Tips Show.
Bye, guys.
If you want more like this, hit like and subscribe so you'll always be alerted to new episodes when they come out. And if you want information about us, visit us over at insightmg.com. That's insightmg.com. We'll see you on the next episode.